What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about OnyxCoin today, XCN USD. Hit that like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here. It is the 22nd day of March. And here we are at $0.00507 with roughly 9 hours, 23 minutes left in the day. It's a super scary price action that we're seeing here, but not really, right? Not really at all. As we move down, over the weekend nonetheless, which does not provide reliable price action. That's why you shouldn't trade or do anything really on the weekends. You should just take a break and go away. But we have less volume coming in as we're moving down. The movements were a little bit more robust. Over the past 4 days, they've chilled out a little bit. People are getting fearful, and on that note, I want to bring up a post that I made yesterday. Yesterday, I made a post here saying, don't be scared, talking about this trend line. By the way, I did assume that we would break through this trend line. That's why I was saying don't be scared. We're probably going to break through this trend line. Look at the volume. Don't be scared. I went to bed, and I thought that this might go the way that it went, but I was just having fun. So some of you don't know me. I think some of you do, but let it be known, this was a joke. This was a joke, full-heartedly a joke. And I'm not going to click on it because then there's a few comments. But clearly the people who commented here, they did not understand sarcasm. And I get that sarcasm is hard to get online, but man, look at the price. It's at 00515. The price here was at 00518. That is what it takes for you to be afraid, for you to think that this thing's going to zero like that. That's not what it is, guys. That's not what it is at all. Oh no, we broke the trend line. How many times, if you watch my channel, have you heard me say that these trend lines don't matter? They don't matter at all. They really don't. Maybe on a macro scale, maybe on like for Bitcoin Cash, for example, on a multi-cycle, monthly, lifelong trend line, okay, maybe that matters. But look at the price. Look at the time frame. Look at the time frame. Can we zoom in? It's the 1 hour. This is not serious. Okay, this is not serious. Some people think it's serious, and that's your own problem. You got to build conviction. Okay? What if I was fearful? What if I was fearful and I was freaking out and I was wrong? Is my conviction the only thing that holds your conviction? That's a problem. It's a very big problem for anybody who's investing. You need to have your own source of conviction. I'm honored if that's me, but it shouldn't be. It should be fundamentals. It should be your own knowledge of the product. We have Goliath coming out on the 27th. It's the 22nd right now. We're going to get a move up, guys. It's going to happen. Okay? And again, as I've said for about the last 20 days now, or the last 10 days, however long it's been, that we heard the announcement that Goliath is coming out, we might see some weird price action. Sometimes you do top off before the event. Sometimes the event happens and then you pump afterwards. Sometimes that does happen as well, especially with these mainnet releases, because the reality is with these mainnet releases, it's not the news event that matters so much because it's already priced in, right? We've already got that figured out more or less, right? There might be 5 days left from now until Goliath mainnet. We could very well pump and be above 1 cent by then because of that. We could see some type of pump, buy the hype, sell the news event as well. But typically what we see is that the mainnet, whenever it releases for anything, for Ethereum, whenever Ethereum's mainnet came online, whenever Cardano's mainnet come online, what happens is the price might do some funky things. It might do nothing at all. And then after a week or two, after a few days, if there's a bug, if there's a serious glitch, if it's not working as it should, we dump. If it's good, if there's like a merge that happens between blockchains or like an upgrade or whatever, a mainnet release, whatever, and everything goes well, we pump afterwards. Sometimes you do get a pump after the news happens. And I've said this plenty of times, right? We're in a weird situation because we're all aware of this, and we've been well aware of this months in advance that this would happen by the end of Q1. What we weren't aware of was that Onyx would say Goliath mainnet public version. And there's a few different ways we could take that. Some people say we shouldn't take it anyway. And that's fair. That's probably just as fair as any other assumption. Maybe public version just means it's the mainnet and that they're just using words that they don't need to use, but whatever. Maybe public version is a way of them saying that this is not a completed product and that there's more to come. Whatever. Which I don't think is a bad thing. Maybe it's their way of telling us that there will be a private version and they're going to add privacy features to the blockchain or to their ecosystem. Like that's pretty cool. That'd be pretty cool, and that would be very bullish. That would be even more bullish, I think, than Goliath itself getting launched. Because Onyx has so much going for it, right? It's not just DeFi. It's basically DeFi, though. It's like centralized finance in crypto. They pretend to be decentralized, but that's not rare. That's a lot of cryptos. We've got this here. We've got this nice curved bottom. This shape didn't play out. Oh no. This shape is still in the works. We're fine. And again, as we move lower, there's really no volume at all. We're on Coinbase. There is a little bit of consistent volume here. I'm not going to lie. For a Sunday, it's kind of interesting. But also, look at the price action. Look at how weird this is. Right? Do you see it? Do you see these candles? Do you see how weird that is? That seems very mechanical. Mechanical, manipulated price to the downside makes you think we're going to be due for an upside move here, guys. I think there's a lot of panic selling and a lot of smart money probably buying at these levels. We'll see. We'll see. I bought more. You guys, literally, this was made 9 hours ago. Fear. 14 hours ago. No, sorry. 16 hours ago, which was 7 hours before that last post I made. I said I took all my earnings and bought more XCN. I don't know. I get that people don't get sarcasm, but man, some people I feel like really made an ass of themselves on that there, which is kind of what I was trying to do with some of these trolls. It's funny. They do an easy enough job of it themselves. Anyways, here we are. We look at this on the 1 hour with Coinbase. Do you guys see any gaps to the downside that haven't been filled? I don't see any gaps. There's no gaps at all that haven't been filled. It looks like every single gap. Yesterday we actually had a gap right here. That closing price, we opened up here. There was a gap and we filled it. We filled the gap. There's no gaps. Actually, that's not true. There are some gaps. I need to be honest with you. There are some gaps. There's a gap right here. There's a gap right here. There's a gap right there as well. You can't see the gap. It closed right here. It opened right here. There's a gap right there. It's not like a formal, it is a formal gap. It just looks weird because of the way that it is. There's no like gap here like an empty space, but there's a gap between these two closing and opening points there. There's gaps to the upside. And there's even gaps all the way up at like 1.8 cents, okay? Not that gaps are the end-all, be-all to anything, right? Nothing has to happen because of them, but statistically speaking, these gaps on the 1 hour Coinbase chart are very reliable. Very, very reliable. We haven't even gotten into the TA. I'm really just making fun of the trolls for the most part. The 1 hour RSI sucks, man. It looks really bad, but it's the 1 hour RSI. We've got lower lows. We just found a point at which we've been finding support at. So we probably find support and move up. The question here is, do we find a lower high? Do we find resistance at the same price or the same levels, the same readings that we've seen before? Do we get to the overbought zone? Do we break this kind of trend? I think it'll be the latter. Stochastics are oversold. And you're oversold and you're moving down, but not a lot of volume's coming in, guys. Rejected the MACD on the 0. That's no fun. But hey, we moved down. It's the 1 hour time frame. We got it over with. 4 hour time frame here. We had a nice higher low, higher high trend. We've broken down really quickly. It's actually, I think, positive to show a long structure to the upside and a short structure to the downside. We've reset ourselves. We're ready to go. We still have higher lows. That's all this is a higher low. From a low here to a high there, we are below the golden ratio. It's a bit odd, and in my opinion, typically when we see this kind of stuff, you would expect to go to the 786 or even the 886. We could go below 005 and still be fine, finding support at prior support, finding support at the 786. OnyxCoin has done this before where it's really weird, but it'll find support between the golden ratio and the 786 somewhere in this area. Anything can happen. Stochastics are oversold. They don't look good. Neither does the price action. Overall, we're up, but it's a slow process. We do have bullish divergence, very nice bullish divergence on the 4-hour MACD. Daily time frame here, we've crossed above the 0. We're actually right at a point where we might expect to bounce off the MACD. Like, this is actually where you could see either a false cross come into play, or like this here, where you tipped the oscillators together, you got really close just like this, then you bounce. And whenever we saw that, that was exactly what led us to this. Imagine how many people were bearish here when we had the slightly lower low. They were bearish there, but we're showing a very similar signal in the MACD as we are now. I would say we're even more bullish here because we're above the 0. We're at the oversold zone with the stochastics. They've reset themselves. The RSI overall, I mean, we've got these higher lows. You could go lower. We still maintain that. Maybe this is not the right point to address. I don't know. Maybe it's this point. We could still go lower and maintain this. We're not in any jeopardy at the moment. We got overbought. We're not oversold yet. I think the daily RSI actually looks pretty good. We're just in a wait and see moment. And the only thought that I have here that like keeps coming up in my head throughout this whole video is don't put all your hopes and dreams on Goliath, okay? It's likely going to be anticlimactic. Goliath is not the only thing OnyxCoin has going for it. It's a big deal, but for people like you and me, it's probably not that big of a deal, honestly. We'll see. Time will tell. I think it'll be a big deal as the future goes on, as time continues to unfurl. Overall, what we have here is a very nice soft curve, a nice double bottom of a pattern. We've seen these kind of soft curve formations before with OnyxCoin, and they bore fruit. Is that the right word? Bore. They provided us with some solid price action. That's the call. And until it happens, that's the call. I could see this time being a little bit more lackluster than the other times. I could see it being more robust. It depends on what we do. We could come up and find a lower high in this range that we've been finding lower highs at. Maybe we don't even get above 1 cent, but we get very close to it. Whatever. We're at half a cent now. That's still pretty solid growth in what would be a very short amount of time, probably by the end of this month. I could see a scenario where we break through this trend, and that sends us, that cascades the price higher to this 2 cent area or even beyond. We take this high over here, the relative high of the last cycle, to the low here. The golden ratio zone is right up here. Golden ratio zone right up here with prior areas of resistance as well. I got nothing else. Calm your emotions, steel your nerves, hit the like button, subscribe, and just have a little patience. Bye-bye.